Hello everyone, I am UnsungNPC, back here with another class video for Pathfinder Kingmaker, and we are going to be taking a look at the Kineticist, which is probably one of the most overwhelming classes to look at, if I'm honest. It's just, look at this mess. There's so much going on, it's just too much. It's too much. It's too much. But what I feel like people don't realize is I feel like this is a lot more overwhelming to look at and wordy than the class is actually complicated. Because I've played with the Kineticist companions, I've played a Kineticist myself, and I just don't think this class is that complicated or hard to figure out. I think it's actually a really simple class, and people are just trying to do more with it than they should be. So, we're going to be looking at it. So Kineticist. Kineticist is an elemental user. It's not magic per se or anything like that. It's just this elemental energy within them. So they're using one of the four elements, two of the four elements, however they want to do it. So you get this burn ability. Burn is like you take points of non-lethal damage, and it allows you to do some extra things with your kinetic blasts. Which is your main attack. So Kinetic Blast, there's Physical and Energy Blast, and we'll be taking a look at the elements for those. So Physical Blast is 1d8 plus 1 plus the Constitution modifier, okay, increasing by 1d8 for every 2 levels. Energy Blast is 1d8 plus half the Constitution modifier, but it's a ranged touch attack, so you're going against touch AC, while the Physical Blast is going against regular AC. So I think it's good to have both so you can pay attention to what kind of enemies you're fighting and decide what's going to be the best way to handle it. Alright, so you'll also get infusions, which is like basically your blast being able to take another form, if that makes sense. We'll look into it as well. You'll get an expanded element, so you can choose your same element or a different element, and then you'll get to do that again, and then you'll get composite specialization. So you'll reduce the burn of all composite blasts by 1, and a composite blast there's special composite blast based on which 2 elements you choose, or if you choose the same element again, you'll get a special blast with it that's a composite blast. Which combines the damage from both blasts into a bigger blast. It's honestly super strong, and I took a Kineticist and was just like one-shotting like undead Cyclopses, which are huge, massive enemies that have a lot of health, and I'm just one-shotting them with my composite blast. So definitely very strong characters. Let's take a look at some of these extra things they get. So you get Metakinesis. So these are like the meta magic feats, and you get Empowered, and then Maximized, and then Quicken, and then you get Metakinetic Master. So where you reduce the burn cost of that Metakinesis by 1, and you get to choose which one that you do that for. So Empowered, and then Maximized is just increasing the power of your Kinetic Blast. So that's 1 step, that's 2 steps, so it costs more burn. And then you can do Quicken as well, which is really cool. I like Quicken because to do some of your bigger blasts without taking burn, you do, what is it called? There's like a ability you get where you can like take in power, so it takes longer for you to use your blast in a round of combat, but if you have Quicken on top of that, then you get to use it quicker, even though you're using the gathering power ability. So gathering power can make you use it as can take like I think 1 takes your swift action, 1 takes your move action, then 1 makes it to where it's like a full round attack or action or something like that. but it allows you to, negate some burn from using bigger blasts, which is pretty cool. You have elemental overflow, so basically, whenever you accept burn, okay, you receive a bonus on attack rolls equal to the number of points of burn you have. Yeah. And then you bonus damage rolls as well, equal to double the bonus on attack rolls. So extra attack, extra damage, and that's for your whenever you have burn. But you don't want to accept too much because it does drain your health with non-lethal damage. And you want to keep these people like way far back if you're just doing regular kinetic blasts. So it's pretty awesome. Lots of bonus. If you want to see the full thing, here it is. If you want to pause it and kind of read over that, then you can read over that as well. You also get Infernal Buffer. So you can use this once per day, and then eventually 2 and 3 times per day, and it just like lets you avoid accepting 1 point of burn when doing something just completely. Then Supercharge. When using Gather Power as a move action, you can reduce the total burn cost of a single wild talent by 2 points instead of 1. So if you gain something from a wild talent, then you can reduce it like that. And then as a full round, you can do 3 points instead of 2. So it's just letting you negate more burn for gathering power. So I hope you guys are all still with me so far. So basically you have these blasts, touch attack blasts and actual attack blasts that are both ranged. They go in different elements and different forms based on the different infusions and talents you take. And you can empower them, maximize them, quicken them, and you can use Gather Power to be able to do more powerful combinations of things without taking burn, which damages you, but also increases your attack and damage as well. So that's what we've got so far. All right. We're going to kind of go into some of these archetypes here before we get into what these different things do, because these archetypes are not that different from the original class. For example, Dark Elementalist. The biggest thing here is that it's like intelligence based. So normally Kineticists use their Constitution modifier for determining like DCs of different talents or their damage bonuses. Your attack rolls are still dexterity though. For the Dark Elementalist, you get to use intelligence instead, first and foremost. Dark Elementalist base will save bonus. Okay, so you're focusing on will save instead of reflex and fortitude, and you gain all knowledge and lore skills as class skills. And you have soul power, so you can gather the soul. You use the souls of others. So basically, you can gather souls of like dead people and use that to negate burn as well. And there's no elemental overflow. Dark Elementalists actually have a very small burn pool, so it's very tiny. So you really have to use the energy of the dead around you to negate that burn as much as you can. But other than that, they're exactly the same. So don't think it's this whole new archetype that's going to be also overwhelming. It's exactly the same except for those minor differences. The Psychokineticist is wisdom-based Kineticist. Okay, they use wisdom instead. So you use your emotional intensity. So you use your wisdom for everything. You have mind burn. So if you have burn, you take a -1 penalty on will saves, wisdom checks, and wisdom-based skill checks for each point of burn you have, rather than non-lethal damage. So you're not losing as much health, but you're taking burn in your mind. And the amount of burn you can accept is equal to your wisdom modifier, rather than 3 plus your wisdom modifier. So it's also lower like the Dark Elementalists. Still have Elemental Overflow. You have Mental Overflow now. So basically what this does is instead of gaining the size bonuses to physical ability scores from Elemental Overflow, you gain alchemical bonuses to your mental ability scores. So you'll be gaining bonuses to your mind from Elemental Overflow rather than your body. You still have Infernal Buffer, Supercharge. Everything else is literally the same. It's just these little bits down here that are different. And you mostly using your wisdom instead of your constitution or intelligence. Next, we have the Kinetic Knight. So the Kinetic Knight is a kineticist that's very different because it focuses on like melee combat. So you gain Kinetic Blade as a free infusion. Alright, and Kinetic Warrior. So you use Constitution instead of Intelligence on to qualify for combat feats, including like combat expertise, which is actually really cool. Elemental Blade. So you gain the Kinetic Blade form infusion, and it costs 0 points of burn instead of 1. So you can just use Kinetic Blade all you want. And then you get Elemental Bastion. So you're proficient with medium and heavy armor and shields. You gain the Elemental Defense ability at 4th level rather than 2nd. And yeah, pretty much. So that's really cool. So you're more focusing on having actual armor. And then also you gain Resolve. You can use ability once per day. So standard action, the Kinetic Knight can spend one of his Resolve to remove the Fatigued, Shaken, or Sickened condition. And then eventually you can also remove Exhausted, Frightened, Nauseated, or Staggered. Or whenever the Kinetic Knight is required to make a Fortitude or Will save, you can spend one of your Resolves to roll twice and take the better result. So you have some like Knight's Resolve there. Still same expended element. I think you have less infusions than a normal Kineticist. Same talents, same blast, same infusion specialization, Infernal Buffer, Elemental Overflow the same. And then you get these things. So you get Blade Rush. Manifest Kinetic Blade to attack once. You gain a +2 bonus on attack roll, -2 to your AC. Okay, yeah, so you just move 20 feet, 5 feet in any direction instantly, and then attack. So it's kind of like a charge ability. You get Kinetic Whip, which gives your blade the reach function, which is cool, so getting more reach there. Blade Whirlwind, where you attack all foes within reach. Whip Hurricane, which does the same thing, but with your whip, which is cool. And then Blade Rush as a swift action. So you get some extra abilities here, and you're more melee combatant. That's what the Kinetic Knight is. I've played around with the Kinetic Knight. I feel like they're tricky to use, and honestly, there's just better melee fighters out there, so I wouldn't really mess with it too much. But, you know, if you're into it, you're into it. Pretty cool. These next two archetypes are from the Call of the Wild mod on the Nexus. So if you're not interested in that, we can skip to the part where I'm going over the different infusions and stuff like that. But I'm going to talk about these two archetypes really quick first. Overwhelming Soul is like a Kineticist, except it uses Charisma. So you have Mental Prowess. You can't choose to accept Burn. Any number of times per day equal to your Charisma. You can reduce the total burn cost of any wild talent by 1. So you can only use things that cost 0 burn. So it limits you somewhat. And then an Overwhelming Soul gains +1 bonus to attack with Kinetic Blast. The damage bonus doesn't apply. Okay. So you're just gaining bonuses, leveling up as well. +1s. But you have the ability to use, if something costs 1 point of burn, you could use it by using your ability, Mental Prowess, to negate that burn. A limited number of times per day. Everything else seems to be the same. So it works a little bit differently, and you use Charisma instead of Constitution. for all your stuff. So if you want a good like persuasive kineticist, this is a great one to take because you'll be able to use persuasion pretty effectively, which is really cool. The next one is the Kinetic Trojan. I don't know how to pronounce that, to be honest. You have to select water as your primary element, and you get the Kinetic Healer as a bonus talent. So this is just, it focuses on healing. It's like a Kineticist in every way, but you get Healer Buffer. So it's like Infernal Buffer, but instead you can only use it, your buffer has double the usual maximum size, but you can only use it for healing, for the Kinetic Healer wild talent. So more buffer, but you can only use it for healing. But that means you'll get to use the healing a lot more often, which makes you a more effective healer. And then you get meta healer talents instead of wild talents. So there's talents or any talent altering kinetic healer. Alternatively, you can gain Paladin Mercies that a Paladin could select, which is really cool. So Paladin Mercies are like the ones that take away fatigue, take away shaken, take away sicken, that type of stuff. So you could do that with these kinetic healers. But yeah, other than that, still a Kineticist. Still a Kineticist. But they're pretty cool. Alright, so we're going to go in here. This is the favored class mod right here. It's created by the same author of Call of the Wild. So I would definitely check it out. I think it's a lot of fun. You get some cool bonuses here. And different ones based on your, your race or your archetype or stuff like that. So I think it's very cool and diverse there. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. There you go. Abilities. Okay, so elements. There's air, earth, fire, water. So if you do air, you can pick air, which is physical, or electric, which is energy. If you pick earth, it's earth, which is physical. If you pick fire, it's fire, which is energy. And if you pick water, you can pick cold, which is energy, or water, which is physical. So you can pick those. I do enjoy air and earth. And then infusions. These are the different infusions that eventually you can take. The infusions have requirements based on what type of element you have. So extended range, kinetic blade can be for anything. There's pushing infusion, and see it tells you on here which blasts qualify. Then there's blade rush, blade whirlwind, bowling, burning, chilling, cloud. So if you want to pause at any time to read these, go for it. Cyclone, dazzling, deadly earth, which is an amazing infusion, detonation, entangling, eruption, fan of flames, flash, foxfire, fragmentation, grappling, kinetic whip, magnetic, also a great one, pure flame, rare metal, spindle, spray, synaptic, torrent, unraveling, wall, whip, hurricane. I like magnetic. I mean, just everyone getting bonus when using metal weapons to attack is awesome. I use that one all the time. But yeah, if you want to pause during any of that to check out what the different infusions are and kind of read their descriptions, totally go for it. I wish I could show you the different blasts that get combined with each of these elements, but honestly, I'd have to go off the top of my head because I won't be able to show you in the making of this video. But I definitely suggest checking them out. I know this class is a lot, and I think that it freaks people out because of all the stuff on here and all the wording and just how involved it is, and it's very different from everything else. But I think it's a fun class, and if you build it right, it's a very, very powerful class. Okay, being able to one-shot. There's so many creatures you can just one-shot with your blasts. Like, these blasts get insane. They're powerful. Don't ever multi-class with a Kineticist because you're losing out on damage from your blast if you do that, and it's just not worth it. But these characters can be really strong if you build them right and take your time and just learn how they work. So I suggest doing that. But this is the Kineticist. So whether you're new or a veteran, thanks for stopping by. If you're new, welcome to the world of RPGs and Pathfinder. It's an awesome time. Stay for the ride. You won't regret it. If you're a veteran, check out this mod, Call of the Wild on the Nexus. Do it. It's awesome. If you're wondering why you don't have the Kineticist class, it's because it's a DLC. So if you only bought the base game, which I don't know if they just sell just the base game anymore. I'm pretty sure everything is like the different editions and stuff. But if you, for some reason, don't have it, it's because you don't have the DLC. You need to get the DLC to get the Kineticist. It adds companions and also is really fun to play around with. So check it out. But thanks for stopping by. I'm UnsungNPC. I hope I was helpful to you today, and I will catch you guys at the next one.